location. I remember way back. You ain't have no swag. You did a little research. Now you got a moon bag. Now you got a new walk. Now you got new swag. You did a little research. Now you got a moon bag.
So ladies and gentlemen, with digital assets, we hodl and we trade. And when we do hodl, we make sure it's on a cold storage wallet so we have full access to our funds and no one else. Okay, you're talking about the DCENT wallet here. The link is in the description. The most easy and safe hardware wallet, enhanced crypto protection built on the highest security standards. What is going on, blockchain monkeys? Eagle here. I want to thank you for coming to my jungle. First of all, I'm no financial advisor whatsoever, nor am I professional in blockchain technology. But there is one thing that I absolutely will do, and that's give my opinion. So today, ladies and gentlemen, you have got to keep your head on a swivel in this cryptocurrency space. Lots going on, but before we can even get to it, I'm gonna need you to rub them hands together vigorously. Slide down Twitter. Coming in hot from Cyprus. More proof institutions are about to flood in. Institutional traders, USD withdrawals, and deposits via both SWIFT and FedWire are now available on Crypto.com exchange. And you have got to keep an eye on AI, artificial intelligence. The takeover is happening. There's a report coming in from the EY News. After interviewing 1,200 CEOs, 99% say they will invest in Gen AI. And this just in from investing.com, Ripple Labs faces $770 million SEC settlement over XRP sales. Let's take a look at this. The SEC has demanded $770 million settlement from Ripple Labs, alleging violations of federal securities laws related to the company's institutional sales of cryptocurrency XRP. DCENT anticipates an extensive negotiation process. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know they're going to get that down. We're talking about the big dog Brad Garlinghouse. Let's go.
Very close right now. Joining us now, someone's very much got a dog in that fight. ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood. Cathie, you're one of 9 applicants for a spot Bitcoin ETF. It looks like the SEC is going to be forced to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF. What, if any, communications have you had with the SEC about your application? Where are we in this whole thing?
It was publicized and disclosed last week that we had responded to the SEC's request for information around our Bitcoin filing, and we responded. And that's basically all we can say. I think many people think the SEC chose to ask questions is a change in behavior. Therefore, I do think hopes are rising that a number of Bitcoin ETFs will be approved.
The court now is going to issue a mandate about how to enforce their decision here to the SEC, and their SEC is going to basically follow that mandate. Everybody is assuming at this point that they'll probably approve most of the Bitcoin ETFs by the end of the year. Is that's a reasonable assumption at this point? They lost the court case. They chose not to appeal it at this point.
Maybe the reason they're saying by the end of the year, early next year, I know our final deadline on this filing is January 10th. And so, and I think we're first in line. But as you say, a number of Bitcoin ETFs could be approved at the same time.
So check this here, blockchain monkeys. I wanted to take you back in time real quick. Coming in hot 2020, we got Julia Chatterley. Take a listen.
Lots of excitement right now, and particularly in your part of the world, about digital currencies and digital assets. What can you tell me about the prospect of a DBS digital currency exchange?
Well, I think this notion that everything is going to tokenize and digitize is very real. And therefore, to be able to help companies raise capital in different forms, securities token offerings, is something that we think will start happening at scale. We also believe other forms of digital assets like cryptocurrencies are going to continue to be extremely popular. And so that is something that we are actually indeed studying, trying to put together an infrastructure that can help companies raise capital, that can help investors access digitized assets, and to be able to support the market in some form. It is something that we are in the process of working on. And so all I can say is watch the space.
Well, there's a thumbnail. Watch this space.
No, a lot of people are. Is this somewhere, and I know it's a case of talking
This is from right before the lawsuit was dropped on Ripple back in 2020, by the way.
regulators and getting everybody comfortable with what's being achieved here. Is this somewhere where I think Singapore specifically and the regulators there are flying the flag? Because there's a real sense, certainly, that other nations, like the United States, for example, are behind in preparing for customers getting access to this and banks providing access to safe access?
I have to say that in the last year or so, the regulatory response to this is beginning to change in many parts of the world. In fact, as you know, many central banks are actively pursuing their own central bank digital currencies. It's not only in our part of the world, but also in many of the Western countries. The Canadians are doing it, the Bank of England is doing it. And so I think there's a broad-based acceptance that, tokenized digital assets are on us. Some countries are further along, others are less so. But I do think, in addition to the stuff we talked about, that over the next year or two, this focus on central bank digital currency is going to continue to increase, as of course, other kinds of digital currencies. So I think everybody is going to be part of this game sooner or later.
Yeah, I love it.
That's correct. Here's Naveen Gupta talking. This is from back in August 2022 from Bull DF. Check this out.
So firstly, almost majority of the banks, and I just want to be very open, are using the messaging layer of the Ripple, right? Where they're essentially communicating with A and B in a super efficient manner. And that is scaling up, right? Banks are using us more and more across more corridors, right? So for example, they may start with corridor in India, then they say, hey, you know what, I want to use you in corridor in Pakistan, in Morocco, and in lots in the US, and in multiple countries around the world. And primarily they were using Swift earlier, and they start to use RippleNet because this essentially allows them in terms of standardized API capability between two institutions, right? Most of the customers who are using us for the second part, which is the liquidity part, in which XRPs uses the bridge, are regulated PSPs, right? Or fintechs, which are essentially using it. Because for them, cost of capital is prohibitive, right? So on an average, sometimes the weighted average cost of capital, WACC, could be up to 30% for a fintech, versus for a bank, it tends to be almost zero because they have got huge amount of depositors. And then the last thing that I would say is, having worked at the bank, two banks for the last 15 years, banks are inherently conservative, right? It will take them some time to get comfortable with digital assets, even though it is being passed on through the regulated exchanges, right? So banks will take a little bit longer time in terms of adoption, but all of them are watching. So if you look at DBS, the bank in your region, they are already selling Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP to its customers. There are a lot of other discussions we are having with banks as well, who are saying essentially, our customers want to buy digital assets and how do we participate? But has it come in terms of in an active form on our platform? It hasn't as yet, for the use of XRP as a bridge to transfer value.
So coming in hot from the DCENT wallet, we're talking cold storage, okay? It is now live. Algorand is now supported on the DCENT wallet. We also support the tokens of the Algorand network. Ladies and gentlemen, the link is in the description. And speaking of the DCENT cold storage wallet, we have here Globiance. Attention crypto enthusiasts. Looking for a convenient and secure way to store your XDC or GBEX offline? Ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at an exchange who is talking about holding their cryptocurrency on a cold storage wallet. Talk about true transparency, okay? Check out the DCENT hardware wallet with its advanced security features and user-friendly interface. You can enjoy the peace of mind knowing your investments are secure. Huge shout out to Globiance. Huge shout out to the DCENT wallet squad. And coming in hot from Mauricio Carrillo, we have a full house. This was at the Tokyo Blockchain Expo. Huge shout out to Globiance for taking their world tour. Now, coming in hot from Globiance again, looking for a way to expand your business and streamline your transactions? Well, you have here Globiance Business Services. Globiance offers innovative features such as QR codes, POS payment, instant fiat, and crypto conversion. Ladies and gentlemen, Globiance runs on XDC and they are on a mission. And ladies and gents, Gorillas and Monkeyz, we got to give a huge shout out to Token Topics, continuing to hit us with this XDC heat. If you aren't subscribed to his channel, hurry up and do it. Take a listen. Coming in hot, we have Anchor and XDC integration.
Here we have Anchor, partners with XDC Network to simplify dApp development and trade finance. Anchor, a leading name in blockchain infrastructure solutions, is set to transform blockchain development with its groundbreaking partnership with the XDC Trade Network. This collaboration We'll see Anchor integrate the XCC network into its remote procedure call RPC service, making it easier than ever for developers to harness the full potential of the XCC network. This integration is poised to revolutionize the way developers build decentralized applications or dApps, with a particular focus on trade finance and real-world asset tokenization use cases. This is a pretty awesome deal. So Billy Siebel, who you just saw pictured, Executive Director of
XINFIN is a sleeping giant. How can you not see this?
XCC Foundation, he emphasizes the importance of Anchor's integration, stating continuous development of both protocol and application layers are an integral part of growing and vibrant blockchain network. The XCC network integration with Anchor is an example of our ongoing efforts to support developers with fundamental tools and services necessary for ease in building applications and accessing block data. Recent development, Securitize, a pioneer in digital securities, also declared its support for the XCC network and the U.S. Treasury Yield USTY token. The USTY token based on the XCC network is designed to provide cost-effective access to the yield generated by an institutionally managed U.S. Treasury. That is a big deal right there.
So we got Andre Casterman here. How technology is transforming trade finance. A shift by banks to originate and distribute mode, together with increased collaboration with trade tech partners, can help to narrow the funding gap for SMEs, writes the CEO of the Trade Finance Distribution Initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this. Just going to delve into the institutional investors section. In addition to receiving support from such new entrants, banks themselves are starting to move towards a so-called originate and distribute model, which enables them to focus on servicing transactions while relying on a third-party, non-bank liquidity
ODL, that's the order, man, liquidity.
From asset managers and institutional investors. With the industry at a tipping point to originate and distribute model, it is a brilliant solution to handling capital constraints without restricting trade finance availability for clients all over the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this is ridiculous what is happening, and you're allowed to see them build in the plumbing, okay? It's at a point that Trade Finance Distribution Initiative has a significant and growing role, adding liquidity through its growing network, currently 80 members that includes some of the world's largest financial institutions. The TFD initiative mission is to convert trade finance into liquid asset class that can be traded globally with transaction level automation and standardization, enabling huge cost efficiencies along with real-time processing. What are they building right in front of our face right now? If you're not bullish on this space right now, I don't know what to tell you.
I can drill down a little. When Neha talks about tokens, I don't know if people spend much time thinking about this. So what are we talking about here? What is Bitcoin? What is Ethereum? What are these other Solana, Cardano, these other tokens you've heard about? The way I think about it is they're not very different than HTML, Bluetooth, STMP, other protocols that allow us to use the internet to communicate. They're protocols that allow us to use the internet to do different things, to record where value is and who's transferring value to who. And they all have different properties. Bitcoin has some unique features: program scarcity, anonymity. Ethereum has other features. It's highly programmable. It's used with a lot of smart contracts. It's like an OS, an operating system for value on the internet. Every token relates to a different design of a distributed ledger technology to record value on either a public or a private internet. So they all have, when people come to me and said, I've heard about this great new token, what do you think? And I say, well, I haven't heard about it, but if there's any value, the value's in its network, and what does that network do? The two that have so far stood the test of time quite well is Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're well over 50% of the marketplace. Yes, there are thousands of cryptos out there, but most of those thousands are tiny percents of what's in circulation. So I would say that once again, the scandal of FTX is not implicitly proving somehow that there's no value in Bitcoin, that there's no value in Ethereum. When people trade them, they're effectively trading the future of that network. Imagine if you owned or had a portion of Bluetooth technology. How valuable would that be to you? How about if you had a piece of HTML or the protocol that makes email work, STMP? How valuable would that be? That's when you own Bitcoin. And so I think what's happened is the success of owning those instruments have led a lot of fraudsters to come up with tokens that have no underlying value.
Cause it's the standard in this bitch. XRP. I went to YouTube University, and now they mocking me with no degree. We saying by the swift, keep it walking. Respecting elders in these bushes. Bitcoin is talking.
You don't have to be rich to be taking advantage of this. This was the beginning of the greatest transformation of wealth the world has ever fucking seen since World War II.
Blockchain. We talking about an intellectual choo-choo train. It's DLT up in these streets, man. That's why we rip all on that blockchain.